A375 Online Marketing Chapter 6. In Chapter 6, we continue our discussion about technologies available for digital marketing and different principles around using digital technologies. So the chapter opens by talking about digital transformation and explaining digital transformation as going beyond just implementing technology or people just embracing technology. So it's the entire transformation of a culture. So changing fundamentally what we do as individuals and in businesses because of adoptions of technology and digital capabilities. So various things that might happen here would be, you know, just implementing new technology would be a company starting a TikTok presence and making TikTok videos. Moving into digital transformation, where we're doing business change and behavior change, would be a company taking job applications via TikTok. So that is a company that has changed their culture, is trying to adapt, is trying something new, is trying to embrace all of the digital things available to them. What are the hallmark traits of digital transformation? Well, of course, the end consumer and their needs and their changing needs and demands. So, not even just their needs, but as a digital consumer, as we get used to having things 24/7, whenever we want them, we can order with a click of a button, we can find information with a click of a button, that we continue to want services to improve across all technologies. Okay? Um, an organization that's trying to pursue customer focus, so they're adapting what they do to serve the company across multiple digital platforms. They've changed their website, they've updated things. Um, being innovative, agile, adaptive, flexible. We have to have a lot of flexibility, especially when we're talking about digital transformations and changing our culture as a result of technology and technological advances. As technology changes so quickly, we have to be willing to, one, embrace the things that are out there right now and start using them, but also understand that in 6 months, the next new thing could be up, and have a plan in place for how we bring that new technology on. Okay? In a company where digital transformation is possible, um, people and ingenuity are prized. So, where we are looking for good ideas, we want our people to be innovative, to come up with ideas for embracing new technology. Okay. We do have to understand that embracing a digital transformation can be expensive. It's not cheap to just, some people might think that you can just open up a camera and start talking into it, and you're all of the sudden making videos and getting your message out there. There is a lot more planning and work that goes into content creation. So, not just the content, the message that you're trying to get to people, but then also making sure that your message is being received or is the one that is attracting the customer to come in. So there's a lot more planning and foresight that goes behind this. Usually, new equipment, etc. We have to make sure that there's buy-in all across the whole business from top down, and that there's money available. Just because we want to embrace technology as a fundamental part of our business plan or our business strategy doesn't mean that our business currently has the funds available for this to happen. So, where do we find that money? Where do we find that investment? Okay. It talks about millennials making up the dominant workforce. So, millennials are people who came of age, so turned between 17 to 21 as the millennial turn, so in 2000. So now millennials are in their late 30s, early 40s. They're making up the dominant workforce. They're going to be digitally native, so the internet has existed their entire life. They're moving into senior management, and so this will also help enable some of the digital transformation for businesses. Another thing that has spearheaded digital transformation for businesses is the global pandemic that started in 2020. As businesses were forced to adapt, to go into shutdowns, businesses that had never allowed remote work before that had to transition to remote work. Some businesses even decided that remote work was better, that their people were getting things done, they were working better, they were happier, and they could drop the expensive office building that they were forcing people to come into. But it required that agility, that quick innovation and quick thinking. People had to, at the drop of a hat, transition to remote work and to working digitally. So when we're looking at digital transformation and we're looking at changing the culture of our organization to embrace that, we need to make sure that we have a plan. It's not just about saying, okay, we're going to move in and we're going to embrace technology. So we need to have this as part of our strategy and our plan. So, what are the goals of that? Are we trying to make it easier for customers to access our products by having a web presence? Are we trying to customize a customer experience or offer a more personalized experience? Okay. And then at the bottom, it talks about budget and legacy systems and those being barriers to digital transformation. Well, as I said earlier, it's not free to just get into digital marketing, digital business. And legacy systems are computer systems that companies are currently using or have been using for a very, very long time. An example of a legacy system is when I started at Iowa State, their registrar's office and all of their admissions and everything like that ran on a system that had been built at Iowa State. So they had built this from the ground from scratch. They had not bought software from another company. And the problem with this legacy system was that it was so old that it had been built in DOS. And if you don't know what DOS is, it's a very old computer software system. And when they started to get new systems, they had issues connecting to this DOS system. They also had problems that because this DOS system was home built, they had created it. It did everything perfectly, and they were having problems finding more modern solutions that they could replace that legacy system with. Then, when we replace legacy systems, we also have to retrain all of our employees to use the new systems, employees that already could use the legacy systems. So there's a lot to think of as we're implementing new technologies at work that can have large budgetary and time impacts. As the current state of digital transformation, so actually a lot of retail companies are quite far down the path. And then it talks about how financial and manufacturing companies are a little bit further behind. Some of the financial company slowly moving into digital capabilities is because of regulations that are around finances and what can and can't be done in an online format. Um, so the study that we talk about in the textbook is from 2017 that says that industries are less than 40% digitized across the board. I would think that this has greatly increased since the 2020, the start of the pandemic, when companies that didn't have a digital presence or weren't very far in the path of digital transformation were forced to by the economy. Okay. It is a business transformation. It's not just bringing on a new technology. Okay, it does rely on technology to deliver parts of our business, but we have to remember that it is a behavior. When we talk about digital transformation, it is a behavior and cultural change. Okay, so we talk about these two different project management case studies, waterfall and agile in the textbook. And waterfall and agile are project development strategies that can be used to implement new projects at a company. Okay, so waterfall development it is linear, where one stage flows to the next, like a waterfall. Okay, people have criticized it in the past for being too rigid, but we have 6 main stages. First, the requirements. So we write down what all of the requirements for this project is. These can include our end goals. We build the requirements into a model. Then we design, we make decisions about how this is built, and then we get into coding or building the product, test to remove any bugs, and then move into the implementation and future maintenance. So of course we see plan, design, develop, test, release, feedback. So this happens anytime an organization brings on new technology or new software or implements a new thing to a certain extent. We write out our requirements and then we do an analysis and then we look at how are we going to implement this. We're going to have a few users start testing the product to see how it works so that we can remove any issues there are with the product, and then we're going to implement it to the full business. Agile is a little bit different, and it allows for us to change requirements as we go along. So work is broken down into small phases called sprints. Sprints last for a few weeks or even shorter time than that, and they're worked on by a cross-functional team. Agile also requires regular meetings as part of the sprints. Usually daily meetings are what are recommended for Agile. Several of these methods that come under Agile are Scrum, Kanban, adaptive software development, and lean software development. So all of these are ways to bring software into an organization in a project management style. If you take the project management class, they go into each one of these types in much further depth. Okay? And then proof of concept and minimum viable product. So this is where we deliver a version of a product in order to test it. So it can be a very simple thing, like the example given here, testing a landing page on a website. So what a landing page on a website is when you click through a digital ad, what do you land on? Sometimes these can be custom pages that the page only exists as it's clicked to through the ad. And so how does this landing page work? How do our customers perceive the landing page? We're going to talk about that more in the other book when we talk about testing landing pages and testing different versions of digital ads. And then the minimum viable product, um, does just enough to test the concept. We can add other features later as we're moving along. So we get to the point where the product is usable, and then we use it as we're improving. Okay. So what does all of this mean for digital marketing? Well, of course, one, we often need different software implementation to do digital marketing. And if a business doesn't have a large digital presence, then changing that behavior to give them a digital presence is part of that digital transformation where we're changing the culture of the company. We're moving them onto, and I'm not just talking about having a website or having a Facebook page, I'm talking about having a true digital presence or making a true behavior change for digital transformation. And that is chapter 6 in digital marketing strategy.